Welcome to the Post Up. This is your new weekly NBA show from the GoldBoys Sports Network, where three friends cover everything from the association. Welcome to the real first episode. Apologies for last week's episode. That's my dipshit ass self fucking up the audio. That's why it sounded weird. That's 100% on Mike Willis. Shout out to producer Alex for hooking up the edits there. Fixed last episode as best he could. Still sounded grainy. Dylan sounded great. Dolan sounded okay. I sounded terrible because I was sitting in front of my computer, which was having a fucking meltdown. So let's redo those introductions. What do you say, boys?
Do it.
Sounds like a plan.
First off, a man who trusts a process that has never gotten him out of the Eastern Conference or even to an Eastern Conference Finals. You know him as Ryan Props. I know him as Dolan. What's up, dude?
What is going on, boys? Episode 2. Let's get going.
Yeah, you ain't get take 2. Yeah, hilariously, last week when we got done with the first episode, the very first thing I said was, I think that's going to sound like shit. Actually, got faith it's going to sound good. And Dolan goes, want to redo it? And the next man said, absolutely not. Can't do it. Got to work tomorrow. It was like 11:30 at night. He goes, nope, got to work tomorrow. He is a diehard Celtics fan who is also Troy Bolton's biggest fan. You can find him on Twitter at DillBond00. Dylan, what's up?
What up?
Finally, the guy who fucked up the first episode. My name is Michael Willis at Carefree Willis on Twitter. Completely my fault. My fault to all the listeners out there. Apologize for that. But we had quite a bit of listens last week, boys. I appreciate every single one of you out there that listened to last week's episode. That's pretty awesome, huh, fellas?
That's extremely hype that anybody's tuning in. Yeah. Except they all tuned in to listen to the white noise back behind Michael's voice. Yeah. But nonetheless, it means a lot to us. We have a lot of fun doing this. So it's even more fun if you guys tag along. So appreciate everybody that listened, and let's keep building.
Absolutely.
For sure. You ain't kidding, dude. What is absolutely worse than my podcast running? NBA fishing, boys. You guys see what? Did you see what Rudy Gobert said today about the officiating from the other day?
I did not actually.
I did not. Really?
I saw Minnesota's coach said something, but I didn't see Rudy said something.
Rudy went in on the officiating for the past week, talking about how like it's like rigged for the Celtics and everybody to get in. He literally said it's bullshit in an interview. I'm trying to find this thing now. Yeah, this is, and I quote, it's bullshit. It's not fair. It's really not fair. Every night I've been in this league for 10 years and I try to always give the benefit of the doubt, but it's hard for me to think that they're not trying to help them win tonight. It's hard for me to think that they didn't try to help the Warriors win the other night, or the Sacramento Kings win the other night. It's just obvious now. He goes on to absolutely bury the referees. I'm actually surprised you guys don't. I'm surprised you did not see it.
No, I remember it. I saw a quote of it. So yeah, I did see it. I didn't pay it too much mind at the time, but these are pretty big allegations, actually.
Massive. I mean, that is a bold ass fucking statement to say in a press conference there. Especially, he's not wrong though. I mean, I don't think officiating has been good all year long, and we're about to tune into like the biggest portion of the NBA season coming into that playoffs times. Can't be having shit officiating. Can't have it.
Yeah, for sure. Who was it last week? Might have been Trae Young, who he just threw the ball to the ref. Now he threw it. I mean, to the ref's credit, he threw it fairly aggressively, but like, dude, man up, dude. You can take a quick chest pass. Like, it's not that big of a deal. And then it kind of reminds me a quick flip to baseball. I don't know if you guys saw the umpire that threw JT Realmuto out of the game. He held his glove out for the ball, but he thought that the ump was going to throw the ball to the pitcher, so he pulled his glove away. Ump threw the ball at the ground, and then ump was pissed at Realmuto for pulling the glove away and tossed him. So, yeah, I mean, doesn't matter what sports you peek into, you're going to see some shitty officiating, and I think NBA is like, they're probably the worst of the worst.
Used to be the NFL, but now it seems like it's the NBA. This past season, at least, right, Dylan?
Right. I mean, it kind of reminds me of the lockout year, or was it not the lockout year? The year where you remember the Detroit Hail Mary touchdown at the end, Detroit.
All right, that'd be the end of the show, boys. We're logging off now. Yeah, I remember that. I know exactly what you're talking about. Dude. That's face mask, non-face mask.
Yeah,
nonsense.
that whole thing with the Packers Lions. But I think I'm gonna throw a little defense at the refs right here. One of my pet peeves is when teams complain about the free throw differential, but like for example, last night Minnesota shot 15 more threes than the Suns did, 35-20. Like they're gonna shoot more free throws if they're driving in the paint.
That's a fact.
It is what it is. Because
yeah.
And the reason why I say that is because it's been a situation with the Celtics too, because Joe Mazzulla swears by shooting as many 3-pointers as possible. But when you shoot as many 3-pointers, you lose a free throw battle. So it's like, and then you can give up longer rebounds and everything. That's a different conversation. But I think that when it comes to like the free throw argument, like, so I think it was 27-12, I think was the differential between them two. But then you throw 15 more 3-pointers in the mix. I think that like if they would have drove to the paint more, they would have got more free throws than there. But there's still some bad calls.
It's a weird, it's a weird time right now. Like I said, can't be having shit officiating, especially when we're 2 weeks away from the end of the season, going into the playoffs here. Big playoffs coming up. I don't know. It's going to be interesting the final couple weeks of the season and what we see into this playoffs going forward.
No doubt.
What the refs can't, decide the outcome on is this MVP race. Let's get into that, fellas. We had at the weekend, we had Giannis and Jokic battle it out. We record this on a Thursday night. This drops on a Friday. We're going to tune back all the way to Saturday. Bucks and Nuggets. It felt like the Bucks were taking this one forward and really going to win this game, but Denver comes all the way back. Jokic stamps down, and solid game, huh, fellas?
Yeah, absolutely. I think my tune has changed ever so slightly over the past week. Last week, I was pretty passionate to say, Embiid, and here's why. This week, I think that the door was left open. Obviously, I'm sure, there's no doubt we're going to get into, I believe, Monday and Joel sitting out.
I wasn't. We actually were going to skip right over it.
Yeah, I'm sure we were. I bet we were.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, I'm sure. So, I mean, if anything, maybe the door is a little bit more left open than it was last week. I remember saying Philly was a half game better than Denver, and they had a better record at the time, and I was going to take that. I don't have that anymore, that luxury anymore, because Philly actually got pretty cold. I think they had a 1-3 week. I don't know, man. It feels a little bit more open than when we did this show 168 hours ago.
You ain't kidding. Dylan, did that Giannis and Jokic game cement your spot with Giannis winning MVP, or did Jokic really come back and take that one for you?
I mean, I think Jokic, he really took over the game on another level, and then Giannis's performance tonight against the true MVP and Jason Tatum.
All right.
I think that to me, like I said last week, I said Giannis is my vote, and now I'm changing my vote to Jokic. So it's crazy how it changes week per week. But way I wish Jokic played tonight. I saw that he's not playing, but I think also another thing, especially it puts on a big thing is, to me, with the voting this year, a big part needs to be with games played. I think you need to be reliable, especially with not trying to poke you, Dolan, but with Embiid missing. I think that that's a game that has been marked on the calendar for NBA fans for months, and it literally ruined it. And it's I think you gotta go out there and play every night to win MVP, in my opinion. But then Jokic misses tonight, so
yeah, I think they're all fairly close to games missed, so I think this year it'll matter a little bit less. Jokic has the least amount. I think Giannis may even have more missed games than Embiid, but don't quote me on that. I think it's pretty damn close. Yeah, close. I think it's really close. So I don't know. I think we can maybe not necessarily toss that out the window this year, but this year we're dealing with kind of the same thing with all three of our candidates. So I actually don't pay that too much mind. Shut up.
Shut the
Tatum's
fuck.
Tatum's played the most games, by the way, if you're wondering. Jason Tatum's played
Nobody gives a shit. What we do give a shit about is that that was a good game on Saturday last week. The Nuggets really Jokic really put a stamp on what we felt was a leading up to a solid Monday. I put this out on the show's Twitter at the Post Up Boys on Twitter. Go follow us out over there. But I put this up on the Twitter. The NBA's got a serious problem of the regular season not having meaningful games. And this was like the one of the top games of the season that everybody had circled, of Jokic and Embiid, the two MVP favorites battling it out. And Dolan, I'll let you take it away, man. Bitch made sat out. Unbelievable.
Oh, I don't even know what to say. I mean, I don't want to overreact. One thing that I've watched for many, many years is we get to the playoffs, Joel Embiid gets hurt every year. If we go to the playoffs and he doesn't get hurt, win or lose, that's some form of a win, because at least we stood a chance. Last year he had the maybe it was a fractured orbital, something in his face, and then he also had a torn ulnar collateral ligament in his thumb as well. I mean, the past couple years, it's just injury after injury come postseason time. So if we can keep him healthy in the postseason, that game technically means nothing to me in the long run. But when I heard the news Monday, I was pissed.
Yeah, I think what was it, like 2:00 or something like that? You text in the group chat and you're like, Embiid's out, and we were just like taking all. I remember actually I was using the bathroom using the urinal when I read the text message. I remember where it was, but I remember because the game was at 9:30. I was like, oh yeah, I'm staying up late tonight. I'm gonna be up till 10:30, 11:30 to watch majority of this game.
Look at you.
Yeah. But I mean, it was super disappointing. Like, I mean, I went at a little bit a second ago, but it's just a game that us as fans have marked on the calendar for months now, seeing that, and then wanted to see him battle it out, and they didn't. So, I was curious. Sorry, Michael. I'm curious. Do you know who makes that decision whether they're going to play? Is it like a coaching staff? Is it a trainer? Is it the player? Or is it a combination?
So this one's interesting because in a press conference, I don't remember if it was Saturday, Sunday, Friday, prior to that game, Embiid mentioned, hey, I'm going to need to miss a game soon between all the minutes I'm playing, dealing with a calf issue, or a baby cow, as I think you called it, Dylan. Baby cow issue.
Yeah, baby cow issue. That'll do it.
Yeah. So, I mean, it kind of seemed like weird timing for him to say that comment, and then he misses the ensuing game. So it kind of left me to wonder if he had a little say in that. But at the same time, I almost I have a hard time believing that a player would, speak up in sitting out a game of that magnitude, especially a guy like Joel. I mean, he's pretty fiery, so he's pretty passionate. I know he wants that MVP no matter what he says, but I don't think that was Joel's decision, but it was really interesting timing because he just had a press conference saying, I'm going to probably need to sit out some time.
It's weird though, right? Like, I don't feel like I don't, as much as I want to say Joel's a bitch and sat out on his own. I think it was a team call, but if it was, why not sit him out against? I think you played Phoenix the game before, right? Like, why not sit him out then? Oh, that's a nothing game. You know what I'm saying? Like, you guys should have had enough at that time. Yep. I don't know. It's such a weird one, man. I feel like the NBA couldn't have been happy about that. We don't need to spend a whole hell of a lot of time on it. We just wanted to have a moment to pick on Dolan real quick because
naturally
you got to take it when you can. Let's move on to that East though. We'll stay with the 76ers. Dolan said something pretty interesting there, that he's watched the Sixers kind of Joel Embiid get hurt in the playoffs, and I think that's what they're ramping up for. How confident are you in these 76ers right now? Where are they sitting now on this Thursday, March 30th? Where do you think this team is really going to go in terms of this playoffs? And there's three in the East. Like, we're going to talk about this in a little bit. There's three teams in the East.
Yeah.
Is Philly the worst? Where are they ranked at in those three? And then are we looking at a possible upset first round for the 76ers?
So pretty loaded question. Let's break it down a little bit piece by piece. So as far as the most recent question, I don't necessarily think so. I think they're a pretty damn good team. They control the pace of the game pretty well. Their defense is really good. I think we have the best 3-point shooting percentage of anybody in the league as a team, which is a good stat. So I think we have a good formula to take out, whatever team we end up facing in the first round. Once we get past that, I've never really seen the Sixers have too much success. And at the end of the day, when I stare over at that bench, we still have that hoarse-voiced asshole. We still have Doc Rivers as the head coach. So I have faith in the guys that are on the floor. Actually, I really do. I wish we had more help. We basically have three guys that can score, and that is pretty much it. Georges Niang will hit a couple threes off the bench here and there. McDaniels is okay for 10, 12 minutes. I could even see him falling out of the rotation. Melton's, I like Melton. I think he was a really good ad. He was a no-brainer ad he was a first round pick. I'm sorry, we traded a first round pick to get him. It's a no-brainer move. I really like that. But like, we can't rely on anybody except for our big three to go and get a bucket. Come playoff time, that'll be pretty damn interesting. I think we win the first round. Maybe not necessarily sweat free, but I'm confident we could take down whoever we face in the first round. But when the competition gets stiffer, my sleep won't exist. I'm gonna be nervous as shit for this team. All I've seen is A, like I said, Joel get hurt, and B, the Sixers just not really pull anything off. Even that year that they had Jimmy Butler, Tobias Harris, Ben Simmons back when he was, I guess we'll say good. I mean, he was pretty damn good at the time, and Joel.
Love Tobias Harris.
Ooh, not anymore. I didn't even mention Tobias Harris as a guy that can go get his own bucket because he doesn't really do that anymore. He scores 12, 13 points. So I don't know. I would really like to have more help rather than just pass to Embiid at the free throw line and let him make his 16-footer over and over and over and over and over again. But it's gotten us this far. We could play good defense. We could shoot the ball from behind the arc. And, I mean, we have a guy who we can look to pretty much possession in and out for a bucket, and he's come through for us pretty much every time. So I think they can make noise. I think they're going to be.
Who would you rather go up against, Brooklyn or Miami?
Good question. Brooklyn, inexperienced, still building chemistry. They don't really. I guess they have pretty decent depth, but they don't really have anybody that like frightens me. Like Dinwiddie's good. Bright Bridges is exceeded my expectations tenfold. Don't get me wrong,
Stud.
But Cam Johnson every third game is really bad. Claxton I don't think really poses much of a threat for Embiid. Whereas Bam, I think, could give Embiid a lot of trouble and has for a long time. So Jimmy Butler in the playoffs is a guy I don't really want to face off against. So honestly, that question is fairly easy to me. I would way rather face Brooklyn.
Yeah, that's fair, man. I get that 100%. Outside of the 76ers, though, that Milwaukee team that just got absolutely dog-walked by Boston tonight. I was going to come to Dylan about this, but I'll let Dylan take the Celtics for these top three teams, and then we're going to dive into the that rest of that East breakdown. The Bucks, though, is an interesting debate here of like what's going on with Milwaukee, and how good actually has Giannis been this season. He's been absolutely unreal. Dolan put up a question on his Twitter this past week of who is the Bucks' second best player. I thought this was a very good question to ask. I think it's Brook Lopez. The way Chris Middleton's been playing the past week, I don't know if you guys have seen this fucking guy. Chris Middleton has been unreal. But Brook Lopez, for me, I feel like is the Bucks' second best player. Dylan, you think you agreeing with me, or are you going somewhere else?
So I believe Dolan's tweet was most important player, second most important player.
Second most important player.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair. Yeah.
I could see the argument that Brook Lopez is second most important, but I think, Drew Holiday is like every bit as important as a defender as Brook Lopez, and I don't think that dude ever misses. The last, recently,
Well, I've bet on Drew Holiday quite a bit, and he has not hit for me. So,
if
I
you
see what you're saying.
More, you would know. But
that's possibly fair.
Go ahead, Dylan. Go ahead.
But Drew Holiday. Every time I see him, what did he score 53 yesterday? I think his offensive game has just come so far, and then of course I think he's an insanely good defender. I remember against the Celtics last year when he ripped, I think it was Marcus Smart at the end of the game for them to lose that game. Obviously Celtics ended up going to win the series, but it was I'd say Drew Holiday's our second best player. Brook Lopez, second most important player.
Okay.
But Chris Middleton's offense, it looked good. It looked good tonight. For the first quarter at least, Chris Middleton looked good.
I'm not knocking that at all. You're right. Who's the second most important player? Second best is up for interpretation from everybody. I think the way Milwaukee looks now, you've got guys like Drew Holiday, you've got Chris Middleton, who used to be a number two. I'm not saying he's not now, but we haven't seen that Chris Middleton in so because of injuries. That's not his fault at all. But you got Brook Lopez, and then you got Bobby Portis. We're out of that big three era. But you've got Giannis and then a bunch of guys who are like the third best player on a big team. That's not a knock at all. I think that sounds like a knock, but I don't mean that as a knock. And all of them coming together the past couple of weeks didn't happen tonight. past couple weeks. It's been fun to watch. This Bucks team, I think, is just waiting to let that playoff start, and I think they're going to turn it up. The Bucks are going to be one to watch. But that team got absolutely dog walked tonight, Dylan. Boston beat the absolute shit out of this team. How you feeling about this Celtics team, Dylan?
I tell you what, before the game, I was definitely planning to be pretty negative about the Celtics because they just lost to the Wizard. But I mean, they just looked really good. My question marks with them are not with their players. It's Joe Mazzulla. I think he's a very smart coach when it comes to the offensive side, but I think he lacks. I don't think he's good at ramping up the players. I don't think he's good at making in-game adjustments. So it's like, I think that's why the Celtics have blown so many leads this year. When last year, the second half of the season, when they had Ime, they were coming back from deficits because Ime could make those adjustments and he could rally the troops, I think, a lot better than Joe Mazzulla can. I don't think it's a lack of respect or anything. I think it's just a personality difference. He's a little more mellow. And Ime was definitely more like, I'm going to yell at you a lot. Yeah, so to get his point across.
You always have to look over at Mazzulla and see them chewing like a fucking madman too. So sure it gets old after a while.
He hasn't been chewing gum as much recently.
Really?
Probably exhausted from the amount of time he's chewing it.
So Mazzulla doesn't think he's maybe not as good as Ime. That's not a comparison here, but Mazzulla doesn't. In-game management's not very good. Rallying the troops is not very good, and then obviously he doesn't fuck his owner's wife. Dylan, what do you think about Jaylen Brown, dude? What do you think about this whole Jaylen Brown all week long? This guy has been putting out. We've all seen it. I'm one of those people that says if there's smoke, then there's absolute fire here. I believe that Brown is gone this summer. I think we're setting up for, unless the Celtics win it all, there's no way that you can let Jaylen Brown walk next summer for free. I think at the end of this season, whenever that comes for Boston, unless they win a title, then it's a bit different. But if they don't, I believe he walks in, tells Brad that, hey, I'm out. I want to go. What do you think about that, man?
Well, I'm going to try to play the field here on this one because I don't want to be made a fool like Kyrie did to me a couple years ago. Because I would have swore Kyrie was not going to leave.
He did. I could actually, I could verify that. Before Kyrie actually left, Dylan was talking not a lot of shit, but saying a lot of Kyrie ain't going nowhere. He loves Boston, and now we know that's not the truth. But go ahead, Dylan.
Yeah. So I'm really like, I'm trying to be optimistic that I think he's going to stay. I would rather him stay, but after the Kyrie thing, I'm more of like, my faith is in the Celtics organization and not necessarily with the players anymore. So I believe if they end up, I trust Brad. Trust in Brad. Brad's going to make the right move. I mean, since he's been the GM, he's been really good making moves. So I believe that they are going to try to work on an extension and an extension this offseason. And if they cannot get any like compromise or get down to a deal, then I believe he will be traded. But I think I'm really hoping that Jaylen Brown's the type of person who just wants to avoid kind of the media. Like when they gave him the standing ovation the other day after he scored 40 and he just said, I'm just coming out here to work. I'm really hoping that he's just like trying not to play the game with the media trying to get him to say things. That's being hopeful there.
That's a very optimistic. That's a glass half full kind of look at it right there.
I could definitely. Sorry, I'm not done, Michael.
Sorry, go ahead.
I do think he wants to be the man, though. You could tell, like he doesn't like taking the second seat to Tatum. I think he's willing to do it if it means to win. That's recipe to win. But you could tell he definitely has the I want my team mentality. So I wouldn't be surprised if they can't get a contract together and he ends up leading. I just don't know what. Like Michael and I, we've had this discussion many times. I don't know what's out there. Like it's gonna take because there's not many players that are on the table for trading that the Celtics could trade Jaylen Brown for, and they don't want picks because they want to win now. So it's going to take a certain type of deal for it to make it work.
Yeah, for all you Detroit fans out there, two things. One, Detroit Red Wings just beat the shit out of the Carolina Hurricanes. Go Wings! And the second one
good dub right
is
there.
There's absolutely that is a good dub. The second one is that there is absolutely no way in hell Jaylen Brown is coming to the Pistons. It would take Dylan and I talked about this offline. It would take a massive, ridiculous haul and then so many other pieces to work together. Brown is not coming to the Pistons. It would be awesome, but it's not going to happen. You're looking around the league and where can this guy really go if he's going to get traded? There's a couple options. I mean, you can pull the Kawhi year, you know what I mean? Go one place for 1 year, prove yourself, and then make your own decision. But I don't know. It's going to be very interesting. Dolan, what do you think? Would you take, if I proposed to either of you, Brown to Atlanta, Brown and Smart to Atlanta for DeJounte Murray and John Collins? That works out, by the way. I know it works out because I checked it in 2K, the only place you're supposed to go to check out these kinds of deals. That's right. If I offered that to you, I feel that makes both of these teams competitive. I don't really know about Atlanta because I don't know how Trey and Jalen will work out, but I think in Boston, I think that's a good enough trade. Dolan, what do you think?
Well, I think it depends on who is proposing the trade. If Atlanta came to Boston, I'd have a hard time imagining them accepting that deal. However, if Jaylen Brown ties their hands, they might have a choice. If Boston calls Atlanta on that deal, yeah, fucking take that. Jaylen Brown I think he'd fit a lot better than Murray would with Trae Young. I mean, I think they'll both be, obviously they're both super aggressive shot makers and things like that. But like, I mean, Murray and Trae, they play the same damn position. They both should be a lead guard somewhere, but they're trying to share the lead guard. And I mean, to a certain extent, it seems like they've slightly worked it out a little bit. They still have their problems, but I don't really hate the way they've looked recently. But at the same time, I just don't see this fit. I thought it was kind of odd at the time. I think it's pretty fucking odd now. So I think if they could trade Murray for a wing guy, someone just like Jaylen Brown, I think they would jump at the chance to do so.
Do you think it would take more? Do you think that was like a fair trade? Do you think Atlanta would have to put in more or vice versa?
I don't know what Atlanta's got. Like, what else Atlanta going to send off? I know this is all hypothetical in my own imagination here, but like that was the best. That was the best that I could come up with for a true straight up swap for Jaylen Brown without having a third, mythical team involved. But I don't know what else Atlanta's got. I feel like if you're Atlanta, you're giving up Murray, Collins, and then if you throw Capella in there, like I feel like that's way too much for Jaylen Brown, who could walk away from you in a year. Again, I don't think the Celtics get the haul that they feel like they're going to get because Brown can go in a year's time. Like, you looked at what, the San Antonio got. Like, they were rebuilding, so it's a bit different. They got picks, which is exactly what they wanted. But there was I just don't feel like Boston's going to get this Kevin Durant style haul for this guy. Not saying he's not Kevin Durant, but anything like that. I get that. I'm just saying it's going to be hard to get that when Boston can lose him in a year, and then that team trading for him can also lose him in a year's time. So go ahead, Dylan.
I mean, sorry, I've jumped in there, but it's not that far off of the Kyrie trade. I mean, he's in the same kind of contractual situation, and I felt like that haul was pretty good. I mean, I think that's probably a little bit more realistic haul than the one that you just mentioned. I think like. They got a couple picks, of course, and then Dorian Finney-Smith, and then who else did they get in that one?
Spencer Dinwiddie.
Yeah,
Spencer Dinwiddie.
Yeah. So, I think they didn't necessarily get a star or anything in return, but they got really solid role players. Dorian Finney-Smith, as far as I'm concerned, was the key to Dallas's defense, and I think losing him was a way bigger problem than people realized at the time, including myself. Which is a side little mini tangent, but I think that would be closer to the package that they would get rather than like a Kevin Durant, including like a Mikal Bridges plus pieces trade.
Yeah, I think that I don't know. I really do think that it would take a star to do it, but again, like if they can't get a contract agreement, like if Jaylen Brown straight up wants to leave, then obviously they're going to take what they can get. But the Celtics are in a different situation because they already have, like, they're arguably the deepest team in the league already. So those small little pieces, they don't want that. They already have 3 legitimate starting point guards on their team. They have the like wing depth already with Jalen would leave, but they have Tatum. Grant Williams is not been great, but he was really good last year. So we'll see. And then they have big man depth too with Al Horford, Robert Williams and obviously Luke Cornett and Blake Griffin. Like, who else would you really want on a team? They have everything.
You didn't even mention Mike Muscala, dude. What are you doing? You're slipping.
Yeah. Sorry, I forgot. My bad, Mike. Don't hold it out.
Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting what happens with this Jaylen Brown. That one's he's going to be one of the big ones to go in the if not to go, he's going to be one of the big talking points in the summertime here. The free agency in the summer is going to be awesome. Before we get to that free agency though, outside of that big three, we spent enough time talking about your two favorite teams in Milwaukee. Who are we looking at out of the East here? It's as it stands right now, I've got Cleveland in 4th, the Knicks in 5th, Brooklyn in 6th, Miami in 7th, and that's really the only area is that 6th, 7th swap spot right there. Right now, Brooklyn's only a game ahead, and then in 8th is Atlanta, 9th is Toronto, and 10th is possibly the worst team in the entire league, the team that nobody would really want to be a fan of, and that is the Chicago Bulls. I would absolutely suck to be a fan of that team right there because they're not making a run. They're in purgatory. I have no idea what the Bulls are, but I don't think there's a single team there that can make a genuine run up against Milwaukee, Boston, or Philly. If all three of those teams are healthy and moving, I think Cleveland could because they have the star player on the team. I think the Knicks, Brooklyn, Miami, these are all teams that are pieces away. Atlanta, maybe. I can't. Toronto and Chicago, I'm not discussing. You guys can, but I won't be talking about those two shit teams. But I can only see Cleveland truly making a run against the top three. What do you guys think?
I'll take it first. I was gonna say I'm gonna consider the Bucks, Celtics, Sixers as tier A, and then if we break it down into tier B, I think the Cavs are the only team in tier B. I think it's a fall off between them and the Knicks. It's just like I think there's a fall off between the Cavs and the top three there. We've seen Donovan Mitchell star on a playoff team before. He's got this experience, and he's got way better big men to play around with, not to mention a great point guard beside him in Darius Garland. So I think Ricky Rubio is a nice bench piece. They kind of lack at the small forward position with Okoro, and you got Lamar Stevens. Nobody really frightening you there, but I think their point guard, shooting guard, power forward, center is a really, really good group of four guys. I think that that's a pretty elite four starters, even though they have kind of a shitty fifth. I think they would be the one to kind of make some noise. Like I said, I mean, Mitchell, we've seen him succeed in the playoffs. So we've seen him carry a team. And I think that those Utah teams were even more dependent on him than this one will be. We'll see if that's a good thing or a bad thing. He may kind of lean on that dependency, but they have other guys that can help him out. I mean, Mobley he just continues to step up and get better and better. Allen is obviously, he's a really good defensive center, and he can kind of, he can stick with Embiid to a certain extent. He can kind of slow him down. I think Mobley, Allen can compete with Giannis and kind of help slow him down. Celtics, it'll be interesting. The Cavs are really good at defending the perimeter, which obviously the Celtics just want to launch as many threes as possible. So I could see them troubling these top three teams. Beating them, not so sure. As far as the Knicks are concerned, I think they're pretty solid. Josh Hart was a really nice pickup. Julius Randle, actually a couple hours before the show, got announced he's out 2 weeks, I believe. So we'll see what that means.
That's rough.
Yeah, that's a horrible timing because, we could be talking missing playoff games, which would just be pretty much immediately devastating. And I think we may have even brought it up last week, but I just kind of wanted to reiterate how funny I think it is that I know Michael, I know myself. I don't remember Dylan, but when the Knicks signed Jalen Brunson, I mean, I was just laughing hysterically at how awful that contract is. And as we sit here today, dude, Jalen Brunson's such a stud, and
he's the fucking man.
He's worth every.
I
love that deal for them so much.
He's the fucking man. There was a moment when Jalen Brunson officially moved over to the Knicks where Dolan and I were on the phone, possibly daily, definitely hourly, talking shit about Jalen Brunson, letting each other know that this is a fucking terrible move.
Yikes.
Who gives a shit that this guy's going to New York? This guy is a fucking stud. That's on us. We'll try to be better, but that is what it is. Go ahead, man. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I'll pass it over to Dylan. What do you think?
So I more or less agree with you, Dolan. I've got to put. I know their regular season hasn't been great and they came together, but something about the Heat, something about Jimmy Butler. I just that's just someone I want to avoid in the playoffs, regardless. And Bam Adebayo, his defense is and they've been there before. I mean, the Celtics have played them in the playoffs the last 2 years, and every single series is just a dogfight. And
Yep.
that I could see Jimmy Butler just carrying a team. And I really, really hoping they get Sixers in the first round and Jimmy Butler beats the Sixers, because that would just be phenomenal. But I got to put, like I said, I think the Cavs are a good team. And then besides the Heat, I don't see anybody else being able to make any noise. But I do think, I would say, I think personally think the Heat are, I would fear them more in the playoffs than the Knicks. I'd much rather play the Knicks in the playoffs than the Heat, personally.
I think I agree with that.
Yeah, like I said, I don't disagree with that. I'm on the same page with you guys that it's not just the way that I think the East, we're all looking at the East is what it is. Like that is a very fair outlook of what the Eastern Conference is. You got the top 3 teams, and then you truly do have Cleveland sitting there, who is in tier B all by themselves. They don't have anybody else they're really competing with as that second best team in the Eastern Conference. And then you've got dangerous teams, but not complete teams yet that can really do damage. Again, Atlanta could do something if they put it all together immediately. Miami, Brooklyn, the Knicks, but I mean, we've been watching all season. These guys haven't done it, so it's going to be interesting, man. But again, the East is what it is.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
We talk about the West.
I love the West.
I love talking play-in tournament of the West right now. It's so every single hour you check it and the standings.
The exact opposite of the fucking East right now.
I know, it's so
it
funny.
Seems like nobody in the West wants to get in to the play-in tournament. But I'm gonna take this one. I said something so hilarious last week that I felt, and I don't understand how wrong I was with this. I felt that if Dallas could get in, that they could possibly do some damage. This team loses 2 to the fucking Hornets. The Charlotte Hornets. Those are 2 bad losses.
Yeah,
those are bad losses.
Yeah, the Dennis Smith Jr. ran Hornets with Mark Richards and PJ Washington.
All due respect to Dennis Smith Jr., but you've got
top 10
Luka
pick
and Kyrie. Yeah, man. You've got Luka and Kyrie, who, I mean, we everybody knew we didn't really know if this was going to get put together in time or not. But you've got Dallas fighting for their playoff lives. They go against Charlotte and they lose 2 games. And then they came out and dog walked the Pacers. The West, Dallas right now is an interesting team. They could be the one to fall out. But Minnesota's starting to put it together. The Lakers are... I just don't know what the Lakers are. OKC, they got coach of the year for me. I know everybody's talking about Mike Brown over in Sacramento, but you look at what OKC's done. Yeah, you look at OKC's done, like that beam. Officially in the playoffs, breaking a 16-year curse. Good for them, I guess. I do have a ticket for the Kings to win it all. Probably not going to happen, but
I do too.
Sometimes you like to, exactly. A little pizza money, as the kids say. And then the Pelicans, man. The Pelicans have the worst schedule coming up, by the way. I don't know if you guys have seen this or not.
Yeah, it's bad.
Every single one of the teams they play is in the playoffs already.
Yeah, I saw that today.
I missed that. That's a good stat right there. It's a really good stat.
Dylan, what do you think about this West play-in, man? Who do you think's going to be coming out at the end of it? Who's going to drop? You got 5 teams here. You got Minnesota in 7th, the Lakers in 8th, New Orleans in 9th, OKC in 10th, Dallas sitting right there at 11th. It seems like the way the Jazz have gone the last couple of weeks that they're going to be out. I don't think the Jazz really want to make it in
I think
anyway.
They're tanking out of it. Don't even worry about it.
Yeah, they're done.
Oh, yeah.
I agree.
For sure. But you've got Golden State right there. I think Golden State are going to be fine. I think Golden State are going to make noise in this playoffs. We'll talk about that in a second. But Dylan, this play-in tournament first, what are you thinking about this whole thing right now?
So I think that, because I said I was looking at some of their schedules today, and I believe Minnesota is going to get in. The Lakers will get in. I believe the Thunder will get in, and I'm torn between the Pelicans and the Mavericks. Looking at the schedule-wise, you really think the Dallas can get in, but Dallas just cannot get it together. And I thought they were going to beat the Sixers last night. I so did, and just couldn't do it. I mean, it's hard to say, but I'll probably say just because strictly talent. Unless, Zion's not going to be back, is he? I haven't heard anything about him coming back.
At this point, it's hard to imagine he comes back and can make an impact on the playoffs, which sucks, man. Because damn, he's so good, man. I think I know, what is this, year 3 for him, and we've had the same conversation over and over again. He's just so good when he's on the floor. At one point we talked about this earlier this week briefly. they were the 1 seed in the West at one point, right? I mean, early in the season, of course, but I think they flirted with the 1 seed for a second there.
They were there, yeah.
Yeah, to be sitting 500 is a shame. Zion's health just continues to be a shame. Hopefully he'll be able to figure that out. But
Pelicans are up 8 right now, so hold the phone on that one.
Yeah, I was just about to say they are currently playing
13-5.
Yeah, they're off to a nice start so far.
13-5.
But I'd say I'd like to see the Mavericks miss because of don't really like Kyrie Irving, but and it'd just be hilarious to me.
Why not?
And also, Michael, like 2 weeks ago, you said the Mavericks were gonna beat the Nuggets in the first round. I'm just like,
yeah, I did. That was my hot take that if the Nuggets ran into Dallas, that Dallas would whoop them in the first round. I'm not a big Nuggets fan. I don't really like this team. We'll get into that in a moment here, but yeah, go ahead, Dylan.
Yeah, but I mean, like I said, I think the Lakers are scary. I tell you what, to jump up a little bit, I really want to see Warriors Suns first round matchup.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Eject that to be 100%. I'm right there with you, Dylan. I would love to see Dolan. Let me get your, and then I'm going to come back to that Warriors Suns matchup. Dolan, what do you think about this play-in tournament?
LeBron's back for the Lakers, so obviously that changes things. Cat is back for the T-Wolves. So I think 7-8's pretty much set. This Thunder team is odd. SGA just sat out back-to-back games, and I don't know. I've seen weird things. I mean, the Jazz basically just started resting. I can't say resting. Lauri Markkanen might be more hurt than I realize he is, but in this kind of situation, you'd think these guys would play. It reminds me almost of the Pacers over in the East, where like 2 weeks ago, I mean, they had a decent shot at the 10 spot, and they just kind of chilled, and they started sitting Turner here and there. They started sitting Halliburton here and there. So I think there's certain teams that are all right, just kind of falling out of this. I'm hoping that. Oh, sorry. There's my dog barking. I'm hoping that. Sorry.
Dolan is the proud owner of 10 animals and 2 children right now, but possibly 3 coming up. Go ahead, Dolan.
Yeah, sorry about that. My dog is barking at my front door. Don't mind that. Yeah, so I'm hoping that we're not seeing that out of the Thunder right now. I hope that they're really trying to gun for this spot, because I think this team would be really fun to see, to go get a chance. I'm a big believer in getting your playoff lumps. Go to the playoffs, get your ass kicked once or twice. You learn a lot from that, especially on a team that's been so bad for so long. I want the Thunder to make this 10 spot. I do want to see Luka Magic in the playoffs really bad, but I think I'd almost rather see the Thunder. It's tough. I kind of want the Pelicans to fall out, to be honest, and have the Thunder 9 and Dallas 10. I think there's a decent shot that happens.
I'm right there with you. Actually, that's really fun. I believe that Minnesota and the Lakers are going to stay in. I'm hoping that New Orleans falls out. I'm a big Brandon Ingram fan. I like CJ McCollum as well. I don't hate this Pelicans team. I'd rather see. I'm right there with you. I want to see that Luka Magic in the playoffs, and then on the Thunder, you just touched on it, and I could not agree more. This Thunder team is so young, and they don't have Chet.
Yep.
You not getting in the playoffs only gets you the 14th pick in the draft, possibly the 15th pick in the draft. Like, get Shea in the playoffs. Get that experience now, because this is a young up and coming team in that Western Conference. Even if you go out in the first round, even if you don't make it past that play-in game, still get that experience under the belt. You got really nothing. I don't understand the difference. If I'm in this situation, it's not like the Bulls. Okay, this is a much different situation here. You're the Thunder. You've got a young up and coming team that could use this kind of experience. I don't know why they wouldn't want to at least attempt to get into that playoffs. Mark Denault's got the boys buzzing down there at OKC. That's where I'm at. I want to see Minnesota, the Lakers, and OKC, and Dallas stay into that play-in tournament there. I like to see New Orleans drop out, because I'm right there with you. There was a time they were first in the West, and now sitting right at 500 is it's so sad.
Yeah.
Back to Dylan's point, though, I need to see. I need it. I need Golden State versus Phoenix. I need this so bad. I need to see Golden State sweep them. That's if we get Golden State and Phoenix in the playoffs, I need I am pulling. I promise you, I'll go put a ticket down for a Golden State sweep because I know the odds are going to be ridiculous on that. I want to see that. So that's a me pick. Don't go do that. That's probably not going to happen at all. That's for Michael Willis only. But I want to see that so bad. How electric will it be if Kevin Durant comes back to Golden State and these guys beat the brakes off of it? I don't know. I'm going to touch on Phoenix real quick, then I'll hand it back over to the boys. I have no idea why anybody thinks that Josh Okogie is going to come into the play. He's playing very well, but how this guy's going to come into the playoffs and take everybody. He's going to have to play against Steph multiple games in a row. Play against Clay multiple games in a row, Poole multiple games in a row. If he's not playing against them, he's going up against the Clippers. Say what you want about the Clippers. This one guy is not going to be able to do it all. I don't hate the guy at all. I'm not dissing him, but it's different. That playoff basketball is different. We've all seen that. I don't think this Phoenix team is going to be very deep into that playoffs at all. I like the Phoenix starters. After that, though, I'm not a big fan at all. Golden State, though, give me that sweep. That would be fucking electric. Go ahead, boys.
Phoenix is going to need masterclass stuff out of Booker and Durant, which they truly could get. It's not out of the realm of possibility by any means. I think they're going to really need to learn how to incorporate DeAndre Ayton into that offense. Because when I look at the West, man, I mean, Grizzlies are going to be really tough in the paint to beat, but Kings, you can slaughter them in the paint. Nuggets, you can slaughter them in the paint. Clippers, you can slaughter them in the paint. Warriors, you can slaughter them in the paint. You get the point. T-Wolves, you might struggle a little bit. Lakers, you can get them in the paint. Pelicans, you can get them in the paint. Thunder, you can get them in the paint. Sorry to run through every single one of those teams, but the point remains
spot on.
Yeah, the point remains the same, that they could have a really good advantage with DeAndre Ayton. He's such a skilled big man. And he could be a really big part of this offense. It's just a matter of whether they're going to let him. Booker and Durant reasonably will take a ton of shots, but I think they will do themselves a disservice if they let DeAndre Ayton take, he gets pretty heavy first quarter field goal volume, and then he always seems to just drop off and become a pedestrian the rest of the game. I think they'll do themselves a disservice if they don't learn how to incorporate him into that offense.
Yeah, I agree. I was right when that trade happened, and you see Ayton would have like 6 points and 16 boards on like 6 shots or whatever. And he's a top 5 offensive low post scorer in the league, and especially he's got the mid range too. They've definitely got to try to work him into the mix a little bit. I agree with that, but I think it's really funny how the top 3 teams in the West have been just playing so well all year, but no one seems to be talking about them. Everyone's talking about all the lower teams, whether that be, I think Phoenix is currently the favorite to come out of the West right now. And if not them, the Warriors, and then obviously the Nuggets are in there. But I think it's super interesting how, like we mentioned earlier, the East and the West are so totally opposite. But I think I just want to see a good series, and I really don't want to see Golden State dominate again. So I just think and I don't really want to see Phoenix do it either. I said it last podcast. I've got definitely the Nuggets going to the Western Conference Finals. I think that the Nuggets they have the same mindset the Bucks did in 2021 is my thing. But who knows what happens there. But I think that seeing the Warriors and the Suns will definitely be like a super, super good series. But the depth is not there. Terrence Ross is good, but no playoff experience at all. None.
Yeah. He's been on bottom feeder teams pretty much his entire career.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think, Chris Paul is obviously Michael's all-time favorite player.
Michael loves Chris Paul, by the way.
Loves Chris Paul.
That guy fucking sucks.
I just think that I don't think Chris Paul is that as good as a defender as he used to be, with him being 150 or however old he is. So the perimeter defense is just going to be so hard. Like I said, who's going to guard the Stephs, the Kawhi Leonard, if Paul George comes back? Like there's some doozies out there they're going to have to defend, and the game slows down. So it's like
some doozies. Get out, get out, Dylan, get out,
get out. Like doozies, Jesus.
Doozies and howdy. I've never heard this guy say either one of those things, and in a week he's got both of them there.
Unbelievable.
You're spot on, man. I don't disagree with anything you've said at all. What you did just bring up Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. What the fuck are the Clippers? Are we going to be getting everybody healthy in the playoffs? Like, what's going on here?
I actually don't remember Paul George's injury situation off the top of my head. I got to peek into his time frame.
I think he's out for a while.
Yeah, I think it was 2 weeks.
I think he was
supposed to be reevaluated in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think he's flirting with missing early in the playoffs. But yeah, he has no timetable for return as of 2 days ago. That's bad news. I mean, it obviously goes without saying, but I don't think Kawhi can really do it himself. Russell was really fucking good last game. I won't discount him. He was terrific, but I think the way I'm a pro at this sort of thing, the way that teams will play them in the playoffs could be really devastating to their offense, where you can just have 5 guys with their backs turned to your ball handler covering the other 4 guys. I'm a little familiar with that with the Ben Simmons era. And we saw the Warriors do that to Russ, and I think it worked pretty damn well a couple weeks back. And I think we'll see a lot more of that come postseason, where they'll let Russell take every shot he wants, and they'll just leave him wide open. And that'll stymie your offense pretty bad. That leaves, it's almost like a 5-on-4 with a guy who can't make a shot with the ball in his hand. So I think that spells trouble. I thought that was kind of an interesting move when they grabbed him. I don't think it was a bad move, but I think that they had a lot of things that they needed to figure out in the regular season before they got to the postseason. Now with this George injury, I don't think they'll really be able to figure that kind of stuff out. So, I mean, the Suns would need Durant and Booker master classes. The Clippers are going to need like absolute legendary Kawhi performances, which we've seen it before. It's not like you can't do it. They have decent depth, but I don't know. End of the day, end of discussion, I don't really see them too much as a contender. And then the Paul Georges is kind of the cherry on top. I don't really see them making too much noise out west.
We have seen Kawhi hit game-winning shots to win a series. It's going to be an interesting. It's going to be interesting for the Clippers there, man. I don't. I think they definitely need. They need Paul George. Hilariously, I'm gonna wind this clock back a bit. The opening day for the NBA, all those months ago, I called Dylan and I said, "Hey, book it. Clippers going to win the whole thing." I'm an absolute dipshit, so don't listen to anything I say. What do we think about lighting this beam, boys? Sacramento back in the playoffs. Boys are buzzing over there. Mike Brown's got everybody hyped. De'Aaron Fox looks like a fucking stud. And Sabonis,
our guy.
If you don't know, you need to know. Sabonis is a
friend of the program,
fan favorite of the Post Up Boys.
He's a friend of the program. Right. That's what I'm going to call him.
If he fucking needs to be, I might reach out to that guy and be like, "Hey, you should come on and talk to us." I'm doing that right after we get off this show tonight.
You never know. I don't know. We might have been drunk, Michael. I don't remember. We both put $10. Yeah, we both put $10 on the Kings to win the championship. I think we both know. That might have been some form of a donation at the end of the day, but we're going to go and have our fun. I think, you can't win if you don't play like a lick of defense, and they don't play a single bit. Like, they're so fine winning 133-130, and it just doesn't work, man. 46 and 30s, that's no joke. That's a good team, especially for a team that we haven't had or seen have success like this in a long time. But I don't truly buy into it. I think they're going to have a hard time winning, maybe even the first series, just with their lack of defense. When there's 5 minutes left and you need to tighten up and get a stop, I look at this and pretty much entire list, even down to like 8, 9, 10, and I think they're one of the worst teams in that aspect of, can they get that stop? I don't really think they can.
I think a Minnesota-Sacramento matchup would be really good in the first round, personally. That
would be a blast. And from a bettor's perspective, I think that would be an absolute blast.
Yeah, I think it would be fun. I heard I was listening to a podcast, they were talking about it. So 16 years ago was the last time they made the playoffs, and it was like that was the year LeBron made his first playoff appearance and Mike Brown was the coach. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
Nice.
Did you see them? I'll ask you to get back to it, Dylan. But did you see the other night when they could have clinched at home, and they brought this woman out who was a 17-year season ticket holder, and they still couldn't fucking win for that woman, and she was over there lighting the beam and ringing that bell. That was the most miserable thing. They panned to her at the end of the fucking game when they didn't the fucking clinch. She was sitting there pouting. I was like, why would they do this poor woman like that, man? Go ahead.
They did Judy wrong. Judy is also a friend of the program. She's welcome on the show anytime she wants, especially if she's rich and could sponsor us. We're big Judy fans over here.
That's right. Like the meme, baby. Oh, you ain't kidding. No, but I mean, I agree. Like, it seems like the Kings play such fast pace, and their offense is obviously when you score 133 points a game, it's got to be fast paced offense, and everyone knows the game slows down in the playoffs, so it's going to be definitely hard for them to make any noise. I mean, I think we all agree we all would love to see them go far, but I can't imagine. I mean, they hopefully will make it to the second round, but I don't think they get past second round, especially with it being so many potential quote unquote contenders in the lower half.
I think that's why everybody's talking about that lower half, though, Dylan, is because you're looking at I know you're big on the Nuggets, but you're looking at the East and you have definite favorites in the East of who's going to win this. But you look at the West and there's so many teams where if this happens, they could be dangerous. Do you know what absolutely. I mean? Like everybody has that X factor for those teams. The Lakers, I'm going to say Minnesota, the Lakers, Minnesota, Golden State, the Clippers before Paul George's injury, Phoenix, if their starters, like Dolan said, if Booker and KD play out of the fucking minds, Sacramento could really do something if defense truly doesn't matter. And then you're looking at what the hell is Memphis going to be walking into. There's so many teams in the West that are just, they have that one thing. If this happens for this team, they'll be dangerous. And I think that's why everybody's talking about those bottom half teams there.
Yeah, for sure. I want to go ahead and let's just be upfront about this. Everybody gets one word. Who makes it out of the West? Like to the finals?
Nuggets.
That's fucking not happening.
Nuggets.
I'll bet you dinner. I'll take you out to dinner. Done. All right, done. Nuggets. There's no chance. I have no faith in this Nuggets team at all. I don't know. I'm not a big Jamal Murray guy. Partly, I'll hold my hands up. I'm a grown ass man. Partly because Jamal Murray has fucked all of my bets I've ever placed on him. So that's probably on me, Jamal. That's Jamal could also be a friend of the show. But that's probably on me. So I'm not a big Denver fan at all. You try to split the betting portion and real life, but unfortunately on this one, this guy's banned. So I've got Golden State. I've got Golden State coming out of the West for me.
Okay. I hate to say this. I'm going to go Grizzlies. I think they have most of the boxes checked as long as there's no. I shouldn't even go. As long as John is on the floor. I think.
Did you see that? Stop it. Did you see that picture with all that money on the fucking floor and this guy in the corner with this? That is an all-time.
I've seen all.
John, I'm not mad at you, dude.
Party. I'm not mad at him.
We are not mad at you at all, John. Like, do your thing, bro. I'm not coming after him. This is one of the funniest fucking pictures in the entire world.
It is.
All right, so I've got Golden State. Dolan has Memphis. Dylan has Denver. Let's turn it back to the East. What do we think about the East, boys?
I mean, you saw the game tonight. I think it speaks for itself. Let's go.
Shut up. This is all subject to change, of course. We've got a week and a half left in the season. Right now, what we're feeling, we'll give our full final predictions once we have a full playoff set. But for right now, this is what we're thinking. Dylan is banned. Dolan, who do you think is going to be getting?
Bucks.
Dylan, who do you think? Do you think it's going to be Celtics for real?
I mean, yes, I think it's going to be Celtics. I mean, I can't. To me, it's too close. I wouldn't be surprised if the Bucks went, but to me, it's just too close for me being a homer not to pick them. It won't be the Sixers, but
shut up.
Yeah, they don't get out of the second round, so we already know that. Yeah, I've got either Golden State and Milwaukee. I don't want to see that, to be honest with you. So give me Cleveland. Give me Golden State, Cleveland in the final.
Dang. All right.
You said Celtics? You said Celtics, Michael? I couldn't hear you.
Yeah. That's exactly what I said. Whoever comes out of the East is holding that spot warm for the Pistons next year. Let's move on, fellas. Let's move on. Final topic of the night before we wrap up here. Again, I've only said it at the beginning of the show. If you listened to last week's show, big ups to you. We appreciate it big time. Come follow us all on Twitter. We'll plug our own Twitters at the end, but follow the show's Twitter at the Post Up Boys. Come hang out with us. Chat away. Follow Dolan on Twitter at Ryan Props. Follow Dylan on Twitter at DillBond00. And follow me at Carefree Willis. Dylan needs more Celtics friends, so if you're a Celtics fan, go follow him. Before we wrap up, though,
I have friends, period.
Yeah, exactly.
I say things like howdy and
doozy.
There you go, doozy.
Absolute fool. let's talk about let's have a bit of fun at the end of this show here. I'm gonna bring up a couple scenarios. You guys tell me which one you'd rather have. Before we get into that, though, I have one question we didn't touch on about Dallas. Can Kyrie and Luka figure this thing out long term? And if not, where is the best spot right now for Kyrie Irving to go? Dolan, let me come to you first.
Ooh, man, there's pressure on that one as far as where he can fit. As far as figuring this out, man, we are running out of time. And I've never seen too many teams that haven't figured it out in the regular season end up figuring out in the postseason. So, naturally, my body kind of goes to the no. It feels like they won't be able to pull this off in time. And let's say even if they quote unquote do figure it out, how far does that get them? Second round? Yeah. I don't know. I've mentioned it a little earlier in the show. I think Dorian Finney-Smith was so key to this team. And I don't think that a lot of people realized at the time how big of a loss he'd be, because their defense is just a mess, dude. And obviously their offense is pretty damn good. Kyrie and Luka doesn't get much better than that, but like it's not the prettiest offense. They kick out to okay shooters. They have a lot of okay shooters. Reggie Bullock's he's very capable, but he's not great. Josh Green's kind of the same way. Hardy, I'm really impressed with Hardy. He's really young. We'll see what he can do in the postseason. I think he could be a really good piece. We'll see. Kleber, man, they were feeding Maxi Kleber wide fucking open shots the other night, and he just would not pull the trigger. So, I don't know, man. I don't think they have the best pieces around them, especially defensively. I think they're really going to struggle to stop teams from scoring. And I mean, how far can ISO ball get you? We will see. Yeah. Luka's pretty fucking good. He's been doing it for a good couple years now. And if there's anybody that could do it by himself, in a sense, I would vote him. But it feels like we're running out of time. As far as where Kyrie fits, that's a really, really good question. I would need a little. I'd need a minute on that one. I've
got two teams that I feel like he could fit in at. Before I give my two teams up, Dylan, you're the expert Kyrie fan here. Why do you think Kyrie is the best team player out there, and why do you want him back on the Celtics?
You bring up some interesting points here, Michael. Actually, they're going to sign and trade Kyrie for Jaylen Brown. Book it.
There you go. Lucky you.
No, I don't think there's a chance that they can get it together, and I honestly don't think it's on Kyrie. I mean, I think Kyrie has played off ball many times and been very good at it. Pretty much almost his whole career. He's been very good off ball, except for the 2 seasons with the Celtics. He sucked, but I think Luka is the one having issues with the adjusting. Luka's great, so it's like, why should he have to adjust because he's so good? But it's just like he's not, like, you could even see him, like, he's not a spot up shooter. He likes to, like, if he catches it, he's going to take a dribble first and then shoot it. But I think I only see, like you said, Michael, I only see 2 teams. I don't know if they're going to be the same teams, but I think it's going to be, if Kyrie's leaving, I think it's either the Lakers or the Heat.
Those are my exact 2 teams.
Yeah. I think him and Jimmy Butler would be a very good pair. And I think even though Kyrie is very interesting, I think he respects someone like Jimmy Butler, and Kyrie is a competitor. You could say at anything. So I think that would be a good fit. I don't want it to happen, but
I'm right there with you. I felt it. For some reason, I feel that it is written in the stars for Kyrie and LeBron to team back up. I believe that's with the Lakers. I don't. You'll learn this about me. I don't enjoy going into deep fantasy of where guys could start going and making my own super teams in my head. Where they're at now is what I'm kind of basing this off of. But Kyrie leaving, joining the Lakers with LeBron, I feel like that's something that they want to do. I could absolutely see Kyrie. I'm not saying these two would probably hang out. I don't know Kyrie at all, but Kyrie and Jimmy Butler's intensity on winning, I feel, is something that them two would mesh over. Dolan, do you remember when you guys decided to not pay Jimmy Butler and pick Tobias Harris?
Good call.
Probably not the best move, but I mean, trust the process, dude.
I think really good Al Horford out of the deal. So,
oh my gosh, that was that's probably my least favorite signing of all time. I'm convinced to this day that he was sent in as a Celtic spy to implode the Sixers from within, and did exactly that. I think Jimmy had his mind made up because we had basically a guy that couldn't rally preschool basketball players to any success, Brett Brown. Say what you want about Brett Brown. I think he's a terrific assistant. I think he's a nice guy. He's got a fun accent to listen to. That's about where my compliments end. I thought that guy was a trash coach. I think Doc Rivers is a trash coach. Not that that's any part of this topic, but I think I will always take the opportunity to squeeze in the fact that I think Doc Rivers sucks fucking bad. But I think Jimmy kind of already had his mind made up as far as leaving Philly, rather than us choosing to not keep him. Because if that's true, what am I doing here? There's no way we chose Tobias Harris. If
that's part of the
if we did
part of the process, you just got to trust it.
I hate you so bad,
Trust it, Dolan.
so bad, so
trust
bad.
the process.
Oh my gosh, that phrase has come back to haunt me. But
it is going to be, like I said, though.
Anymore.
I think
I'm rattled
Jimmy
over
Butler
here.
being down in Miami. Jimmy Butler being down in Miami, he's definitely one of those guys that is demands. We've seen it everywhere he's been. He demands. He wants to win. The guy wants to be a part of greatness. I feel like Kyrie also just wants to win right now. I think that could be an interesting fit. And again, I think there's something there between Kyrie and LeBron. I think they want to team back up. Well, we're going to dive deep into that over the postseason. Well, before we get there, we got a long way to go until we get there, though. But I do have four. I feel like they're interesting. If they're not, if they're shit, tell me they're shit. Four interesting, kind of like would you rather, or where are these guys probably going to go? The first one, this one's a would you rather, right? Which one of these two would you rather have? Zach LaVine or DeMar DeRozan? These two are not going to be with Chicago. At least one of these guys, I feel like, is not going to be with Chicago come the end of the year. They're not going to figure it out in Chicago with these two guys. I just feel like this team is destined to end. Vucevic is going to leave at the end of the season. But LaVine and DeRozan, which one of these two would you guys rather have?
I'm going to go Zach LaVine. I think it's a tough decision, but DeMar DeRozan's game is kind of, it's dinosaur-esque, man. There's just not too much of a spot for it anymore. Not to say he can't have some success, but just that fadeaway mid-range game it's just not the way of the league anymore. Whereas LaVine, my goodness, he's really stepped up this year. If we had this conversation in the offseason, I might not be going this direction, but I've been super impressed with LaVine. I think last year DeMar was pretty clearly the number one option. I think LaVine's stolen that, and I think rightfully so. He's been terrific, and I think my main deciding factor is I think LaVine's improved. He's touted himself a little bit as a really good defender. And I can't say I honestly paid that much attention to it until he said it. And then when I watched him, I was like, I see what he's getting at. Like he does a decent job. He picks up some tough assignments, and he does a pretty good job at it, which I've always kind of in the back of my head considered him to be a pretty poor defender. So give me Zach LaVine. I think he's more modern NBA kind of guy, can shoot the three. My goodness, the athleticism's damn near unmatched in the entire league, and he's not a turnstile on defense like he once was. And he's younger.
You're an absolute idiot, Dolan.
I love it.
It's clearly Zach LaVine. You got to pick Zach LaVine.
What?
That's what he did.
I know. Just kidding. I think it's it comes down to one thing for me is just age. That's why I picked Zach LaVine. Personally,
fair enough.
And I think, like you said, his game's more modern. I think he could fit into a system a little bit easier. I think DeMar DeRozan, I think he's good off ball, but with him not being able to spread the floor as much, I'd definitely say Zach LaVine. Yeah. It's almost a no-brainer to me because of,
I think so too,
mainly age.
I think the reason I brought it up, right, is because you're looking at this Bulls team, and last year Dolan said it felt like a DeMar. I don't want to say a coming out year because we've all known DeMar like this, but you looked at DeMar last year, and my opinion, he looked like one of the greatest mid-range shooters of all time. Like every time this guy would pull up mid-range, it was going in. One of Dylan's favorites, Chris Bosh-esque, is what it looked like from DeMar DeRozan. I mean, it was. And now all of a sudden this year, it's like he's taking a step back and LaVine is taking a step forward. So I asked that question to kind of go into this question here. You guys have both picked Zach LaVine on this. If I gave you this option between Zach LaVine and his current contract and Jaylen Brown in his current situation, which one are you picking? For me, I think I'm taking LaVine because you have to pay Jaylen Brown, and he's going to want more money than LaVine has right now. I don't know what the age is. I should have looked that up before I asked this question. But LaVine, I believe LaVine is there to be got in Chicago. I think if you pay up to the Bulls, I think they'll trade him on. If I'm the Hawks or if I'm the Heat, I'm looking at that for possibly sending picks to the Bulls' way and taking Zach LaVine. But Zach LaVine or Jaylen Brown, I think is going to be I think those two are going to be in heavy talks this offseason, man. But that's why I brought that up. Zach LaVine or Jaylen Brown, Dylan, what do you think?
I'd say Jaylen Brown because I am not sold that he's out. So I think
Fair.
that Jaylen Brown has gotten noticeably better every single year since he's been in the league, and it's only up from there, I think. So I think that he's worth the money more so than LaVine is, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean,
and I think Zach LaVine is 28.
Yeah, he's 28. I looked it up.
And then Jaylen Brown's 26.
Yeah, if I was a team and I had a shot to like give Jaylen Brown an opportunity to be in my number one, I'd be intrigued to see what that looks like. I don't know if he can make it work. I think he would have to grow a bit, like kind of like Tatum did, where Tatum's like he's evolved his game quite a bit. Like obviously he can still go and drop 35, 40, but like he's also the best passer on the floor. He can go get double doubles and rebounds pretty much anytime he wants it. Whereas Brown, he really gets
MVP.
tunnel vision. Shut up. Brown really gets tunnel vision. I'm not sure how he would flow with other guys. I don't think he's a bad passer by any means. He can go get you 3-4 assists. But I think his game would need to evolve quite a bit to be at least a successful number one option. I don't think he'd have any trouble going out and averaging 28 points, but can he do it on a good team and make the guys around him better? I don't know, but I guess the main thing I'm getting at is LaVine's 28 athleticism. We'll see. I think he's held on to it pretty strongly so far, but I think his days are kind of numbered. If my team had a shot to go out and get one of these two guys, money and all, I would take my chances on Jaylen Brown. I still don't think we've seen the top of the top. I mean, he shares the floor with the top. I don't know off the top of my head. Definitely 10, probably top 7 players. Shut up, Dylan. Shut up, Dylan.
Yeah, how do I mute his mic?
Yeah, go ahead and mute him. He shares the floor with like a top 7-ish player, I'll say, in the NBA. It would be super interesting to go and give him his own opportunity to kind of run his own show. But I think he has a lot of things he would need to work on to make that happen. But I'd be willing to take that chance on him.
Chicago could absolutely keep this guy in the offseason. I just think it's going to be interesting of what's going to happen with the Chicago Bulls team because they're in the absolute worst situation. 2 more for you. Which one would you rather be, Damian Lillard or the Portland Trailblazers? Which situation? If you trade Dame, you're getting a haul in return, or would you rather be Dame going out and going to this next team, regardless of who that next team is? Who do you think is in a better spot right now to succeed in the future?
Interesting one. That's a really good one. I'm going to go with Dame because I think the Trailblazers will respect him, and I think they'll do well by Dame, and I think they'll send him to a nice situation. So I would go Dame. I really like Simons as a piece for the future. I've watched a lot of them recently, and Shaedon Sharpe, I'm super, super, super impressed with Shaedon Sharpe. Outside of that, there's not too much. Jeremy Grant's there. He's pretty good. I don't know how much longer he has
this offseason.
What's that?
He's going to walk this offseason. Okay. He's a free agent. He's an unrestricted free agent. This
okay,
offseason.
So I like Simons as a piece. I like Sharpe as a piece, but those two guys plus a bunch of picks doesn't make up the ground on the situation I think they'd send Dame into.
That's pretty interesting to me, Dolan, because you're a guy who swears by picks. So I definitely thought you were going to go on the pick side. I I'd agree. Like Damian Lillard, you pair him with another star, they automatically come in the mix at winning that conference for sure. And then, like I said, I love the idea of getting picks, but you never know. You could have a Anthony Bennett situation for all we know. So
Good Lord. Good shout out. Anthony Bennett, friend of the show.
Yeah, that's right. Friend of the show.
Got a lot of friends of this show.
Got a lot of
Give us a follow, Anthony Bennett. We love you. You're Canadian.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, it's definitely. I feel like that's definitely an interesting one of who's got the better future there. Dame could absolutely stay, but if he doesn't, and Portland come to him and say, hey, we need to move you on because we need to move forward. I think both of these situations are set up for success in the future. I think Portland will be set up with picks galore in return, and I think Portland will, like Dolan said, I think they will send him off to a win now team, which is going to be which team that is going to be interesting.
Yeah, not
Final
really
one was that.
Not really sure where he would go. We can hypothesize that on another day.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be. It will definitely be interesting. There's a couple teams there, but we'll definitely go over that more this summer. Last one, and then we'll close up here. Brad Beal or the Washington Wizards? I'd rather be Brad Beal because he's got the money, but this fucking team stinks. The Brad Beal point guard experiment failed beginning of this year. Dolan might think differently than me. Dylan might think differently than me, but that experiment died about 15 games in. I don't know what this Wizards team is going to be. I don't know what they can truly get for Brad Beal on that contract. Brad Beal is going to get paid, but where's he going to go? And if he doesn't go, he's stuck in purgatory because he signed that contract. And again, I'm talking about two guys, Dame and Brad, who have been very loyal. Like, I'm not coming after him for being loyal, but they've got both of their. Dame's had a possible MVP like season. He's had his best ever season, and Portland's going to miss out on the playoffs. And then we've got Washington, who signed up Brad Beal, who's had a good season, but he's had an iffy season again. That point guard experiment's failed. And now, what the hell? Washington talking about re-signing Porzingis for what? I'm not knocking Porzingis, but what? You didn't even get into the playoffs. This weird one.
Yeah, they're Bulls-esque. It kind of feels directionless at this point. It's just like, let's just put together as many decent players as we can, throw them out there, try to get a couple fans in the stands and make some money. It just they're nowhere near. They're a full sell and a rebuild away from even being anything as far as I'm concerned. So as far as your initial question, line my pockets, baby. I'm Brad Beal, dude. Give me Brad Beal. I want that money.
Yeah, I got to go Brad Beal too. Like I said, the Wizards are in such a, I mean, I give them some credit. Like, they're not out there tanking like some other teams that I know. Cough, cough.
Oh, shut the fuck
Shameless
up.
tanking.
Can't believe you.
Oh my fucking
Can't
Sam
believe
Hinkie
you call
level
yourself
tanking.
a Pistons fan.
Oh my word.
I mean, I give them some credit. They're out there competing. I mean, they beat the Celtics, which was really fun to watch for me. But definitely got to go Brad Beal. I don't know if he's going to leave. I don't think that. I don't want to say his career's done, obviously, but I didn't see much from him this year that really impressed me. But definitely would rather be him because money. Money's cool.
Money is cool.
On that note, we'll take sponsors.
Yeah, exactly. You ain't kidding. You ain't kidding. A lot of friends of this show, all of our friends of the show that we've mentioned today, reach out to us, sponsor the show. That'd be fucking awesome. That's it for the day.
Hold on.
We will be back next week, same time, to talk about the final week and a half of the NBA season. We'll be looking at a almost final playoff picture. I think it's April 9th. Is when the playoffs officially start. Maybe it's the last day of the season, one of those. But soon, that Tuesday, right after next week's episode drop, we'll have a final playoff prediction. Boys, the first actual episode in the books. How are we feeling?
Post Up Parlay.
I'm feeling like we're missing something.
Yep.
Oh, that's on. Oh, again, hey, I gotta pause for a minute. That's on me. Mike Willis fucked up the audio last week, and I also fucked up the Post Up Parlay. Dolan, who sent that to us? I will shout him out right now because that guy.
I can't remember. There was a few people over the course of the week where we mentioned early in the show of episode 1 that we were going to have a Post Up Parlay, and we didn't necessarily specify that we'd have one that day. But I think in all of 3 of our heads that we were planning on doing it, and then I guess rookies made rookie mistakes, and we walked off this set and just. Didn't work out. Michael's got his finger up. I'm curious. What's going on over there, Mike?
Mazurda, Mazurdae. is, I don't know how to pronounce that, my friend.
Right.
I probably butchered that, but that is his handle. He sent Dolan, he said, fake news on your podcast, never get out parlay. That's on me. For just for all of you guys to know, it absolutely hit last week. We all won millions of dollars. So tune in this week. What do we got, boys?
Dylan, I remember we talked about it a little bit earlier today. Did you narrow it down and come up with anything?
Yeah, so I looked at the odds a little bit during this podcast, so they dropped. I've narrowed it down to 2. I'm literally just going to roll the dice on this one. I'm going to go Giddey over 8.5 assists or 7.5. 7.5.
Oh no.
Yeah.
We have not talked about this beforehand at all. This was I do want to say this before we get into it. Dylan is not a gambler. I am a very average gambler. A lot of my winnings have been spent on fishing equipment, so that is the part of my winnings, and a lot of house stuff. Dolan is the professional of the room here. Ryan Props, that's who it is. Dolan is the professional of the room. So you've got I say professional, and there's a lot of people out there that are going to be like, oh, so it's going to be a lock. No, dipshit, it's not. I got a guy who does this for an absolute living, and a guy who does this as an average thing, and then Dylan who doesn't do this at all. We have not talked about this beforehand. My pick is Giddey double-double.
Okay.
Not mad at that. So it's funny. That kind of brings us into an interesting scenario where we would almost have to make a same game parlay because my play is in that game as well. And it's Andrew Nembhard points plus assist over 20.5.
That's fucking
Tyrese Halliburton is out, and Nembhard's really been stepping up his game. I really love this spot against OKC. I even think his double-double's kind of worth sprinkling at plus 500, at least on DraftKings, but I'm going to wait and shop around on that bad boy. But his usage has been high, potential assists has been high, field goal volume's been really solid. So 20.5 points plus assists is a no-brainer in this matchup for me. So I don't really think you can parlay those options. So that kind of puts us in a bind.
I had another one. I'll use my other one. That's fine. So okay. I'll do. I just because you guys are such a big fan of this guy, Gobert over rebounds.
Dipshit.
For
the background there, for a lot of you people, Dolan and I had one of our worst. Maybe not his. Together, Dolan and I will play random shit just for fun, and that is one of our worst beats. Is Rudy Gobert boards. And it was an absolute. It's one of those. I mean, if you know, you know. It was one of those nights where it could have been absolutely legendary, and Gobert missed one fucking board. And since then, he has been a despised figure between Dolan and myself. So what do you got? You've got what, Dylan?
I think it's 11.5.
Yeah, it sure is.
And then Dolan, what was yours?
Andrew Nembhard over 20.5 points plus assist.
I'm going to take Trae Young over 25.5 points. That would bring the entire parlay. Dolan, have you been logging this down?
I'm working on it right now. Give me 1 second. We got Trae Young. So far, we're at plus 242. I need to add Rudy Gobert to this. Rudy Gobert over 11.5 rebounds. So to finalize the first edition of the Post Up Parlay, we have Andrew Nembhard over 20.5 points plus assist. We have Trae Young over 25.5 points. We have Rudy Gobert over 11.5 rebounds. That is plus 540 on DraftKings. From where I sit now, I would advise you shop around a little bit. FanDuel may have better odds on that. But Andrew Nembhard, points plus assists. Trae Young, points. Rudy Gobert, rebounds. Post Up Parlay.
FanDuel will run you at plus 608. Yeah. That is the first ever Post Up Parlay. That's something we're going to do at the end of every single show. We will get better at that. We will discuss before we jump on the show about what we are going to be taking here. That's the first ever one. We'll see if that hits. Come follow us on Twitter at the Post Up Boys. Let us know if you win any cash.
We accept
tips. Good show, fellas.
Good show. Second of many shows that I hope we end up doing.
I really missed the white noise in this one. But it's okay.
I think the viewers.
I said this last week. Probably didn't hear it because of that white noise. But Dolan, Dylan, and I will do this regardless if anybody listens. However, This is going to be fun. Come hang out with us every single week. Might turn this into multiple days a week. I don't know. We'll see. That is up to you guys if you guys tune in. Oh, I take that back. Like 100% up to us. We're going to have these conversations regardless. We don't give a shit. Okay. Come hang out with us. Good fun. Dolan, close us out here. Where can the people find you at?
That would be at Ryan Props on Twitter.
With a Z.
With a Z, actually. Yeah. If I knew that I would blow up like I ended up doing, I would have come up with a way better name. But yes, Ryan Props with a Z is where you can find me on Twitter.
I do want to say this before I move over to Dylan to let Dylan plug where he is at. One of the most impressive things that all of you guys do not, nobody really appreciates because you probably don't know. I have known Dolan since we were in high school. I was a junior. He was a senior. I've grown up with this man. I now see the way that he gambles and how he. Do you call it gambling or betting, or are you one of those people that cares?
I don't give a shit.
Yeah, some people give a fuck about the wording there. Dolan is in his I guess climbing of the gambling tree here. He does all of his research on his fucking cell phone. I challenge every single one of you out there to drop your computer, which I have to use, and use your cell phone with all these fucking tabs open. It's so hard. My ADHD kicks in and I literally cannot handle it. So big ups to you, dude. That's a super impressive. I don't think many people are doing that. And if they are,
good on them.
Whatever. Dylan, where can the people find you at?
You could find me on Twitter at Dilbon00.
And you can find me at Carefree Willis on Twitter. Appreciate all you guys listening. Appreciate the support. Come follow the show's Twitter at the Post Up Boys. We'll see everybody next week.
Yes, sir.
Cheers.
See you all later.